Hey everybody, what's going on? It's your boy Chris Avalon here, coming at you loud, live, and in color to bring you a brand new review of Pose Season 2, Episode 2, entitled Worth It. It was written by the one and only Janet Mock, who I want to say congratulations to her for securing a huge deal with Netflix, which is going to have her developing some shows and stuff for Netflix, which means the possibility of more LGBT, specifically trans women, getting more work on Netflix. So kudos to her for becoming one of the first trans women to actually score something as big as a deal with Netflix. I'm really looking forward to what creative anomalies she will be bringing to Netflix in the future. But let's get that out of the way. Now that we've gotten that out of the way, let's get right into the episode, which of course was another great episode. Okay, so it started out at the ball. I won't say of course, but usually if we've been watching a lot of these shows, the shows have been starting a lot at the balls, except for last week's episode. Started out somewhere completely different. I'm not gonna recap last week's. I already did that in my last video. So if you haven't seen it, go check that one out. But Lulu turning out on the runway and her snatching a trophy. It was great to see the House of Ferocity finally snatch something without looking like a damn fool, as Candy usually does when she's up there. So then after that, Elektra, who became a part of the House of Ferocity, left the ball and wound up going to her second job, which people, are speculating but didn't really say or reveal or whatever the case was. We found out where exactly Elektra has been, what Elektra's been up to. And come to find out, she's been moonlighting as a dominatrix. So we see her, and I live for the red lights and all that other stuff when we go into those seedy parts of New York. That's the part of New York that I miss. I came in on the butt end of it as it was going out, which was like the late 90s, early 2000s, like 2001, 2002. They started to get rid of a lot of that seediness, even though there are some parts of New York that still has that, but it's not as rich as it was back in the early 90s and late 80s and that sort of thing. So, we see her go into the Hellfire Club where she's moonlighted as a dominatrix. We already see a guy already bound and gagged, wearing a pair of woman's panties, and she's whipping him, or at least she smacked the whip in the corner. With one hand, and then had him freaking out and all that, because she really didn't hit him with that whip if y'all was paying attention. But seeing that part of her, I was living for it, because I was like, yes, look at Miss Elektra all statuesque and looking sexy in her leather gear and taking charge of these men who sit and have power over people in their everyday lives, or just have that kind of power working on Wall Street or wherever the case is in corporate America. And then you see her have that power over these men. So it's like these rich straight guys who who like to be dominated and humiliated and all this stuff. So it was just good to see that. And my thing was that it was also great to see I don't remember their names, but the two trans women that she was having the conversation with in the locker room. It was great to see more trans representation on TV. So I definitely like that we got to see that aspect, that we got to see more trans people getting roles. And quiet as is kept, I'm really looking forward to seeing where this story goes, because we all know, well, maybe you don't, but a lot of people who work in this community, or working as dominatrices or prostitutes and that sort of thing, they were rated a lot by the cops. So seeing how that will unfold will be relatively interesting. If you saw the preview for next week's episode, we did see someone get put in handcuffs, and then Elektra's been freaking out and all that other stuff because she has this fear of getting locked up for prostitution. And we all know the cops are not relatively kind to the LGBT community, especially when you're out here moonlighting in any kind of sex work, which I'm hoping will get decriminalized in our time within the future. Because the world's oldest profession, in my opinion, should not be treated as a criminal thing. Sex is something that is natural. Sex is something that we all do, and some people need to have those vices and get off. And if people want to pay for it, then because their person at home doesn't want to do it, who are any of us to judge that situation? So I don't understand why sex is being criminalized. I don't want to go on a whole soapbox with this whole thing. I just want to focus on the episode. Excuse me. So seeing how that all falls out, and then shout out to from the preview that I saw next week, Peppermint is from RuPaul's Drag Race and who's been a big staple in the New York nightlife scene for years, long before she got on Drag Race. I had the opportunity to work with her on a photo shoot for PEG. PEG actually represents Peppermint and a bunch of the girls from Drag Race and some non-Drag Race girls that you may not know, but you may know this legend, Sherry Vine. Like, they represent a lot of girls. Alaska, you name it, they represent her. Worked on a photo shoot with her. She was fabulous. But it's good to see, like, it's going to be great to see Peppermint making her acting debut on a show like Pose. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that all works out next week. Okay, so Angel helping Blanca step up her fashion game. I actually love that scene because my thing is with Blanca being a mother and being so nurturing, caring about everybody else, what I've noticed is that she's been neglecting herself and she's been putting everyone else before her own needs. So it was good that Angel, who's the only one from the house of Evangelista, that she is told about her status of being HIV positive. She didn't reveal the whole AIDS thing because the AIDS diagnosed, it was pushed up to AIDS in the season premiere. So I don't necessarily know if she was even aware of the, of the fact that it went from HIV to full-blown AIDS. But Angel helping her step her fashion game up so she can go and get this job as a store owner. I actually like that, and seeing how, I don't know, because people keep saying, I don't know why they keep saying on the show that Blanca is clockable. And when I look at Blanca, it's like, she's not that damn clockable. Yes, she's not an obvious beauty. Like, she's somebody who can pass, like, say, India Moore. When you look at her, like, you see, catch her in a good light, full on fashion, beauty, gorgeous. But then, if you look real close in some certain areas, you do see aspects of the old, the boy part of her before she transitioned. So there's always little things, but I don't know why they always so quick to go in on Blanca so much about, oh, she's so, oh, you look like a man, or 5 o'clock shadow and all this. I know y'all reading, and reading is a very big part of our community, but I don't necessarily, when I look at her, I don't necessarily be like automatically, oh, she's trans. Like, I just don't see it. Or maybe I'm just blind. I don't know. But if y'all see it, let me know. Excuse me. So Patti LuPone as Miss Norman, when she came in and was very mouthy, unapologetic, very bitchy and all that stuff, she reminded me so much of, and it was clear as day to me when she was with the character she was playing, she was giving me full on Leona Helmsley. Now, a lot of y'all do not know who Leona Helmsley was. She was someone who owned a lot of real estate in New York. She was basically known as the Queen of Mean. And when she died, she left all of her money to her dogs. Or I think it was her dog. I don't know how many dogs she had, but I know she left it to her damn animals, which I thought was completely hilarious. And she got in trouble with the law because, she was hiding money and all that other stuff. Kind of which was implied in this episode as well, when her dumbass son, who looked like a Jersey Shore reject or something straight out of Goodfellas, was waving money and talking about hiding money and all this other stuff in front of a reporter while they were interviewing her. So, seeing her in that role, because, I live for Patti LuPone. She is a legend within the world of Broadway. She's done a couple of TV and movies and stuff here and there, but she's always been a big staple on the Broadway stage. Her playing Ava Perón, and then Madonna going on and making the movie and her throwing shade at her. Watch What Happens Live. I remember that episode. It was funny. Even though I didn't agree with it, but it was funny though. So yeah, seeing that, and then Blanca coming to her and trying to rent a space from her, I was like, I'm hoping that she gets, the space, and she, after every little, negative, nasty, unfiltered thing that Ms. Norman threw at her, she gave her the space. But I did not like how it went about. She was basically like, oh, we're going to agree to this on a handshake. So I'm like, they can do anything. They could say anything. Still, like, say, oh, you never gave us any money or whatever the case was. And then walk off with your shit. And what are you going to do? So I was like, no, you should have did everything based on a contract. But I guess Blanca was just so excited. And so even though she's, going against her own judgment, and was just like, I'm going to just go along with it because I want a space of my own and I want to be able to make money. on a place which she ended up calling, excuse me, Vogue Nails, which I actually lived for the dame, and I knew she was going to take something a part of that whole the voguing world and incorporate that into her company. The fact that she is out here fighting the good fight and becoming like an entrepreneur in New York, especially when opportunities are second to none for trans people, or specifically trans women of color. I think it's great that they're doing this in the show, and it kind of makes me wonder, because I know that the show is rooted and based in the 80s and 90s. If there were trans people out there who were entrepreneurs in that time, it would have been nice to know, like, if that actually happened, or is just because this is a TV show, we're putting this in there so that way these people can have like some type of, excuse me, my nose is itching today, some type of glow up. Okay, so Ricky coming home finally from touring with Al B. Sure. It was great to see him, but to me, I felt like it'd be interesting to see where they take him and Damon this season, because Damon was barely used in the season premiere. It seems like the focus is shifting more on Angel, Blanca, Poppy, Pray Tell. They're getting more of the screen time that I've noticed. And Pray Tell, you know, with his one-liners and everything, it's automatic. Billy Porter's going to get a lot of the screen time because he is the one with he's the breakout of the show, and his career is pretty much soaring. And I like that we're starting to see more range coming from the likes of Blanca, Poppy, and Angel. I need Dominique Boo. I really need you to start working on your acting. That whole one note delivery that you keep doing when you're shouting at everybody, it's getting old. And I know a lot of people had an issue with it in season 1. I really want you to step your pussy up this season. Please step your pussy up. Your acting pussy in that case. But yeah, Ricky coming home, and I was like, okay, something felt a little different with him. And the fact that Damon was so willing to have unprotected sex with him, not thinking, oh yeah, I trusted you, and you're thinking like nothing's gonna be happening on tour and all this other stuff. I didn't believe it for 1 second, but I feel like I'm jumping the gun because I'm bringing up something that happens later on in the episode, and people are like, well, what are you talking about? But so Nurse Judy, but we'll bring that up in a second. So Nurse Judy is scolding Blanca at the funeral about not taking her meds and all other stuff. I like that Judy is pushing her and being like, okay, girl, get it together. Take care of yourself. But I get where Blanca's coming from, because so many people around her that she knows and she cares about is dying, that she feels, I don't deserve to live and I don't deserve to be on this earth, because why am I still here but all my friends are dying? And there's that, excuse me, PTSD that a lot of those people had in the time. Is like, well, why me? Why am I still here? Why haven't I dropped dead like all my friends have? Excuse me. So when there aren't a lot of opportunities for people of color in those times, you don't necessarily know how to want more for yourself, want to live. And I think a lot of times people are afraid to live. And Blanca was one of those girls that was just like, you know what? I don't know why am I here? Why do I belong here? Like, why am I surviving? Why am I doing this? So it's just like, let me just kill myself, or let me just die and not take the meds and all this other stuff. And it's understandable when you don't want to start taking experimental drugs, because you don't know what the side effects is going to be. Like, a lot of fat around your liver, there's diarrhea, there's, vomiting. There could be a lot of stuff that's going on. And then when your kids don't even know your status, they're like, okay, what's going on with you? Why are you in the bathroom a lot? Why are you throwing up? Why are you losing so much weight? Why are you looking a little weathered? Like, there's going to be a lot of questions. So it's only a matter of time before Blanca's going to have to get in front of him and be like, you know what? I need to tell my kids what's going on, or otherwise they're going to be looking at you kind of crazy. So I was glad that Nurse Judy finally lit a fire under her ass and was like, okay, come on, girl, get it together. We want you to stick around. We want you to be a statistic or an example of someone who can live long by taking your meds, if you take your meds the right way. When you get yourself on a schedule and that sort of thing. But it could be it's a lot. It's overwhelming when you're having to take so many damn cocktails. I've seen so many of my friends and people that have been close to me family-wise, who, you see like they have this thing where it's like they're constantly taking medications and they're constantly in the doctor and they're constantly having to monitor, their blood and all this other stuff. So it's just their T cell count. And it's just a lot. Like, it makes you, like, being that I've been around it and I've been an advocate and I've been around, so many people who were infected, and me being someone who was affected by people who were infected. um it does hit close to home, and this is why I love this show so much. And I like the fact that they're putting so much awareness, and they're putting it out there that, what, kids, queer people of color, because this show, yes, it's geared to them, but it's geared for everybody. But it's specifically speaking to a certain group of marginalized people who don't have a voice. Seeing these characters and being like, you know what, take care of yourself. Even in now's time, like, don't even look at the fact this is in the 80s and 90s, or that this year is 1990. You should still, like, apply all that and take care of yourself in those ways. So I applaud the show for doing that. The conversation in the house about ballroom being a trend, when they went to a couple of them went to the funeral. So it was the nurse, Judy, Pray Tell, Blanca, Poppy, and Angel were the only ones that showed up. Everybody else, Cubby, Lamar, the rest of them, all went out voguing in the clubs and those other stuff. And the fact that, oh, we got free drinks all night, oh, we're now becoming popular, and this, that, and the other. And it pissed Blanca off, because she's like, you know what, voguing is not about being a trend and stuff. All thanks to, yes, Madonna taking something about the voguing community and bringing it into the mainstream. Now it's this thing that kids who weren't even aware of Vogue culture or ballroom culture are now exposed to it. So now they're looking at these kids in the clubs who are doing it, these kids of color, who are doing it, and now it's like, oh yes, clear the floor, let's watch this. Oh, let's see what they're doing now. Let's give them free drinks because they're turning it out. They're showing out for us. So now you're being looked at as, in Blanca's eyes, a show pony. So now you're taking something that has been revolutionized and pushed into that was underground, and being pushed out into the mainstream thanks to people like Madonna, who took something that was underground and ushered it into the mainstream. Now it's like it's being treated as a trend, which, if you look back on it, it was a trend. But now, because of Pose and so many other things, I'm seeing more voguing out here in music videos from other artists. Even at Broadway Bears recently, they did a whole voguing thing. They did a voguing thing. They had queens voguing at the Met Ball, the Met Gala. Met Ball, Met Gala, same shit. It's fun about, well, Anna Wintour is in charge of it. So that whole idea about it being a trend and all this other stuff, I understand Blanca's worry, but yeah, to me it's just like, as long as you keep the core of what it is for you and your family and those people that you love and want to surround yourself with, that's all that matters. Like, don't worry about the mainstream people taking something like, oh, it's cute for now, and then, oh, we're bored with it, throw it away, and then we move on to the next big thing. Elektra and Kandi butting heads at the dinner table, when Elektra, of course, came home late, and then they said had her eating some damn popcorn with some hot sauce. I knew this was going to happen the moment Elektra left the house of Evangelista and went to the house with Kandi and Lulu and was trying to sit up in there and control everything they were doing. I knew that was coming, because I'm like, first of all, you were the mother of these girls, and now you're trying to come in and you're going to actually listen to people like Kandi and Lulu, who you practically raised to be the queens that they were. But quiet as it's kept, they still a hot ass mess. I feel like the only daughter that you've had that has truly shown what it truly means to be a mother of a house is Blanca. And the way you constantly treat her and call her a beast and say all these other things, I already knew. I always say, like, eventually you're gonna come crawling back to Blanca, because Blanca is the only one who would truly give it to you the way it needs to be given to you, that truly appreciates you, and y'all came up together, and it's just sort of like, there's a mutual, even though y'all be throwing so much shade at each other, there's a mutual love there. And at the end of the day, Elektra's always going to come crawling back to Blanca, because Blanca is the only realist one out of all of them that she's truly had. So, which we seen in the preview for next week's episode. So, them butting heads, and the fact that Elektra got up and she pulled the cloth from the table and fucked up. I said, okay, here we go again. Now she's doing another rendition of the Teresa Giudice table flip. Last week she flipped the table at the house of Evangelista. This week she's at the house of Ferocity and she's pulling sheets. I'm like, what's she going to do next? But that was her signature move, as she said, and she walked out and said she was going to have somebody come for her things. And what I was saying was like, with all this money that you're making as a dominatrix, like she pulls so much money. We saw in the beginning of the episode. I was like, bitch, why don't you just get your own place and start your own house? Like I'm watching this as I'm seeing all this happen. I'm like, why don't you have your own apartment? Why don't you start a house and get you some new members? Which we actually see happen after she leaves the House of Ferocity. So she starts pulling members and she builds a new house, which, as I implied before about Anna Wintour and stuff, she renames her house. It's no longer the House of Abundance. She is now the House of Wintour. And that line, Wintour is coming, honey. Really? Game of Thrones? I live for the Game of Thrones reference. But that was like a reference to us for now. But of course, back in the 80s, of course, in the 90s, we knew that Game of Thrones didn't exist as a TV show and stuff. But it was good that you kind of bringing stuff in from now into stuff that has to do back in the day. So I caught the irony of it and I thought it was funny. So seeing that, but the way Elektra went about it, like coming into the ball while they're doing their little categories or whatever with the storytelling, which was ridiculous, by the way. The whole Romeo and Juliet, bad acting, overacting, that was hilarious, by the way. And then all the other ones like doing that ridiculousness that they were doing, I was just like, girl, this reminds me so much of last week's episode when you had Pray Tell was like, you got a guillotine for this mess? Like, what the fuck am I watching? That's kind of like what I was looking at with this whole storytelling theme that they were doing. But yeah, so when Elektra comes in and with her little army, like she about to break out into Janet Jackson's control, and was like, and got kicked out, she was like, and that's why I live for the Pray Tell this spread. She was like, the house is spoken. No, bitch, you don't get to introduce your house and those other stuff. I just laughed because it was like, yes, deliver it with that old sassy delivery. But then, of course, I was not surprised, even though anyone shouldn't have been, when Cubby and Lamar was like, okay, well, we're going to bail and leave the House of Evangelista and go groveling back to our mother, who now has the House of Wintour. And then when she smacked Cubby in the head, I laughed with that long-ass arm and hit him in the forehead. So, of course, they go back and like, bye. And I'm just like, okay, here we go with Cubby and Lamar, you know, hopping more houses than a Kardashian hops on Black Dick. I'm just like, girl, can y'all just like be loyal and stick to one fucking house? So now it's like when y'all hop houses like that, I can't trust your ass because it's like, God forbid anything happens within the House of Wintour, then what? You gonna hop to another house? Like, bitch, you about to end up with 007. You keep this shit up. Like, y'all not gonna have no house at all. So, now, after that, there was a fight that broke out between Kandi and Miss Kandi and Elektra, which I thought was hilarious. And here was the thing, because I saw something on Twitter where people were basically, who were watching the episode, were coming in, and I was like, here we go with these fucking millennials who don't know shit about shit. Coming in and was basically like, I don't know if this is just me, but I'm starting to notice that there's a colorism issue on Pose. So now y'all trying to accuse the show of colorism because they feel like, well, Kandi and Elektra and a lot of the dark-skinned characters are being treated as, oh, y'all the black bitch or whatever this case is, whereas the other characters are not seen in that light. I'm like, everybody on the show is flawed. Every last one. There's all shades of gray within all of them. So to kind of come at it from that thing and saying, oh, because you got this one fighting with a switchblade and this one fighting with a hammer. These things happen at the balls. The queens are catty. Queens are messy. Queens will do what they gotta do when you are from a disenfranchised community where there's not a lot of options for you. You do what you gotta do to fucking survive. That's what this show is basically about. It's about the balls is the one place in the world where we get to be ourselves, that we could feel like we're a part of the world of glamour, that we're not going to be accepted in that world. But so if we're not going to be accepted there, we're going to create this atmosphere. So you're going to do what you got to do to make sure you're a part of that world. But be it, you know, you can't, as the queen said in Paris is Burning, you can't just come up in here with a $12 outfit and just be like, I'm lovely. No, bitch, that's not how that works. Like, you have to come up in here and you got to represent. You got to feel like you the baddest motherfucker in the room. And Kandi and Elektra have always butted heads, and Kandi always thinks she's better than every damn body, but she's always coming out looking like a damn fool, which I do laugh at. That, you know, all that hilariousness that comes from that she, with the old $2 wings that she had on, looked like toilet paper. Yeah, it was just a hot ass mess. Look like cardboard. I said toilet paper, look like cardboard. But yeah. So then after that fight, then we see some kid Chris who was dancing on tour with Albie Shore and Ricky coming up to Damon and basically saying that I fucked your man, or his man fucked him, or basically they slept together, which broke out another fight. And I was like, honey, I'm waiting for Poppy to jump in and start fucking motherfuckers up. But he minded his business. He held the other queens back. If they try to jump him, there's like, oh no, bitch, you're not gonna come up here and jump my house brother. So then you get Damon basically beating this kid up because he want to come over and be a sassy, nasty bitch. And then, of course, in my heart of hearts, I was like, there's no way that Ricky is on tour and just being completely faithful and celibate towards his band and holding out on giving up the cookies or giving up the ding-a-ling to any other man. I believe he was on tour cheating. Even though it wasn't, we never got a yes or no answer from the show, from the episode, but the implication, if I felt that there was some cheateration going on. So, and then afterwards, we go into the Guido revealing to his mother that Blanca is trans, which had her going off, having him being like, we don't want to do business with you. You're done. Get out. You got 20, what was it? He said you got 24 hours to get up out the house or whatever the case was, or get up out of here because you can't be coming up in here. And then I live for the fact that Blanca went and confronted her, was like, bitch, I'm not going nowhere. We did this agreement on handshake. And then she was like basically saying, well, I know people. I know Russians. I got Jewish lawyers. And I'm like, bitch, do you know where Blanca's from? She is a Dominican girl from the hood. And you know, they know, we know, like when you from the hood, we know people too. Like she really thinking, oh, because she could throw money around the motherfuckers that they could break kneecaps. Like we don't have people within our community that could do that shit too. Bitch, we do drive-bys. We don't do fucking kneecap breaks or whatever that case is. Like we will shoot up your motherfucking house. Like that's how some of the people from our community, like in New York back in those days, and even now, that's how we roll. Like we don't play these games like, bitch, just because you got fucking money don't necessarily mean we won't light your old ass up. Trust and believe. So I like to see how further that dynamic is going to go between those two, that whole power struggle. And so far so good. Blanca still has the Vogue nails, but we're going to see how that all plays out in the future. I hope good things happens, but this is a TV show, so I doubt it. The scene of Blanca finally revealing, after Angel told everybody to shut the fuck up in the house, Blanca finally revealing to her children that she has AIDS because of a lot of the unprotected sex and stuff going on between Ricky and Damon, and her having to get in front of it and being like, you know what, I need to set an example if I want them to follow in my footsteps or to make better choices. That scene hit me hard because I felt more like Poppy than anything, because that happened with me when a certain person who was close to me revealed to me that they had AIDS, and I broke down in tears. I could barely speak, and those fears started coming like, oh, you're not gonna live a long time, and I'm not gonna see you, and I'm gonna lose you, and we're so close, and all other stuff. So that feeling came back that I gotten, but God forbid, thank God this person who told me is still around and taking their meds, is doing well. But those fears immediately start to kick in when you hear these things. Like you don't necessarily know what's going to happen. So kudos for that scene. Like that scene was very heartwarming, and I definitely felt it. And I like those. I liked feeling that, or having that feeling and that vibe and that sort of thing. So looking down at my notes. And then also finding out about Blanca and how she got the virus. Like she was looking for love in all the wrong places. So she was going, you know what? Because I'm trans and this and the other, no one's ever going to love me. So even for a momentary situation, I'm going to get drunk. I'm going to have anonymous sex with some total stranger. He's going to take me in an alleyway or wherever. And we're going to fuck for 3 minutes, whatever, how long y'all did it. And then I'm going to just move on and not feel guilty about it. And then that's, of course, how she got it. So that was something that was also very relatable, because a lot of us, we don't get love from home and our families and stuff. So we look for it in all the wrong places. And then the HIV, like when you get infected, it's like, are you going to allow this thing to destroy you? Or are you going to let this thing do it? Are you going to let it? Are you going to get ahead of it? Are you going to fight it? Are you going to like not let this disease define you or take you down? So I live for that. Prank tell at the Eros Ball having those condoms passed out. I live for that because that took me back to my time when I used to do outreach at a lot of gay clubs in Jackson Heights, Queens, where I used to go out and I would get in the clubs for free. Of course, after I was done with my outreach, I would get drunk and have fun and party with everybody. But I was always doing outreach, and that took me back to that time. It's like, you know what? I'm going to give out condoms and make sure y'all out here practicing safe sex. Now, if you're not going to do it, that's on you. But at least I'm doing my part to make sure that you guys are taking the proper precautions to take care of yourself. The Eros Ball was fabulous, by the way, because I live for those Victoria's Secret wings that Elektra came out with. So I was looking for those. Ricky and Damon breaking up, and then Ricky moving out. I saw that coming. I don't know where he's gonna end up. More than likely, he's probably gonna join the house of the house. What is it? The House of Winter. How did I forget that quick? He's probably going to join the House of Winter, and if he does, that'll be the shadiest thing you do. I'm tired of y'all just fucking over my girl Blanca, if that's where he ends up. I don't necessarily know if he ends up there. Did I miss something? Because there was a scene that I did miss where she was talking to somebody about cleaning the house, whatever the case was. I don't know. Did I miss a part with that, or who might have been? Did they show who it was? Because there was a part where I looked away for a second, and I didn't see who Elektra was talking to. So I wonder if that person she was talking to was possibly Damon or whatever. Blanca finally telling Judy bringing Judy over to the house and them having drinks and saying that, you know what, I'm going to start taking my meds and I'm going to take care of myself. I love that scene because it's like, finally, Blanca's like, you know what, I have something to live for. My children know about my status. I'm going to take care of me. I have a business that I'm trying to build and all this other good stuff. So I'm really excited that Blanca has decided to not look at herself as someone who doesn't belong. And she's going to live her life and she's going to do what she needs to do to survive as a mother of the house of Evangelista. And I'm looking forward to seeing what they're going to do, if they're going to do Mother of the Year again, because she got some rivalries now that Elektra's got this house and she's got all these great members. It'll be interesting to see, like, okay, just because you snatch a bunch of trophies, can you make the whole situation work in the way that Blanca has, which is, it's not just about winning trophies and all this other stuff. It's also about family. It's about love. It's about taking care of these kids who are disenfranchised and don't have a place to go and are looking for guidance and someone to love them. So it'll be interesting to see how we go further into this season, and I'm really excited about this season, and I'm really excited about this episode, and I hope you were as well who were watching. Once again, thank you all for watching to the end, I hope. Tune in to my next recap of Pose when the third episode airs next week, Tuesday, at 10 on FX. Love you all for watching. Click like, subscribe, leave a comment. Let me know what you thought of the episodes. If I missed anything, definitely let me know. Love you all for watching. Ciao, darlings.